right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Gallery Nucleus Owl House Art Exhibition. First off, I want to say the cosplay in here is amazing. So if you are physically able and comfortable, can you guys stand up so we can see your awesome cosplay? I know.
Lovely, outstanding, incredible.
Amazing. This is so cool. We don't get to have these events because of the pandemic, so it's like awesome to be able to actually see it in person. So we have an awesome panel for you guys today with a bunch of the lovely, amazing crew who works on the show. Hi, my name is Rebecca Bozza. I'm a production associate at Disney TV Animation. You might also know me from internet stuff as Rebecca Rose, where I covered cartoons, and thank you. I slipped all those people a five before they came in to cheer for me. So I'm gonna introduce the rest of the panel here. So we have one of the individuals who is responsible for all the excitement, all the laughs, all the tears, and of course all the drama in the Owl House. We have our season 3 head writer, co-producer on the show, and also the inspiration for Gerbo, John. And then next up, you may know her from her storyboarding moments like Lilith and King eating ice cream and keeping up appearances, Ida and Rain's duet in Ida's Requiem, and of course the cute but awkward tunnel of love scene from Knock Knock Knocking on Hootie's Door. We have our season 1 and season 2 storyboard artist, Harman-Mitchell. And then next up, we have the one who is tasked with guiding our artists to make things like demons, graveyards, bones, blood and guts look like beautiful works of art. We have our season 3 art director, Garner-Flexner. And speaking of bones and guts, we have one of the artists who kind of built the overall world and feel of the Boiling Isles and is also the one who designed the Owl House posters. So the guy who had to figure out a million ways to draw a Titan skeleton, we have Bosma. This table's so long, I have to look and see where everybody is in order. And so from abomination magic to plant magic to the collector to skeletal hooties, we have the one who has to color all of the magic and characters in the Boiling Isles. We have our color lead, Shawn Responts. And then of course, our beloved hero, our beloved courageous weirdo with a heart of gold. We have the voice of Luz Noceta, Nikki Robles. Cissy's next. Okay, good. Cissy's there. From the Emperor's Coven to the Bad Girl Coven, we have everyone's favorite bad girl historian, the voice of Lilith Clawthorne, Cissy Jones. And then last but certainly not least, she is hated as much as she is feared as Hexside's Grudgeby team captain, but she also works behind the scenes to bring the best out in our voice actors. We have the voice of Bosma and also the show's dialogue director, Eden Rigo. That was like the first 10 minutes of just me introducing everybody.
Wrap it up.
I know, that's the panel, guys. Thanks for coming. So guys, our first special is out for season 3. Thanks to them. Super exciting stuff. We've been working on this for such a long time, so I just kind of wanted everyone to talk about their favorite moments from the episode. We can either popcorn around, or we could just go down the line. Whatever you want.
Yeah, okay, well, I personally really loved the Tom animation at the graveyard.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. The way that I flipped when Dana was like, hey, you want to see something cool? And I was like, yeah, what's up, Dana? What you got? And then she showed me that and I said, are you kidding me? What? It was intense and I loved it, and all the color palettes and everything just came together. The atmosphere was delicious. So yeah, the graveyard. Love that. We love that. Whoever wants to go next, please.
I guess I can go.
Yeah.
Sorry, playing musical microphones.
So I got to be more of a fan for season 3, as you guys know, so I got to watch it and really like revel in it. But my favorite moment's more of a lighthearted moment where we get to see Hunter and Gus like talk about the new science fiction. What's it called again? The
Cosmic Frontier.
Cosmic Frontier! Oh my gosh, so I'm a big Star Trek nerd, and like Mike, who boarded the scene, he was super wonderful. He was like, look what I got to do. And I was like, oh, it's the Star Trek references. So it's so cute as a Star Trek nerd, and as, you know, with Owl House, just seeing Hunter get to like geek out and be like a teenager, it was just really cute. And that's like one of my favorite moments of the.
It is good.
It's super, super
That's so
sweet.
sweet.
I'll do it.
Here you go.
Season 3 and 301 was the start of work for a lot of new people on Owl House. We had a lot of new designers, a lot of new, borders, writers. I feel like everyone got to experience the characters in the new context, like very fresh. It's really fun to see them in the human realm in general because we've grown to sort of love them in the demon world and doing all their regular stuff. And so being able to kind of share that with a bunch of new people was, felt really special.
I was gonna say my favorite moment is also the Cosmic Frontier stuff because I'm also a huge Star Trek dork. But other than that, just the exploration of us getting to see the kids like running around the world, having like when they're in the little magic shop, all that stuff. I love those little moments. They're really nice.
My favorite was when Hunter is like bowing, and he crawls up on his knees on his sleeping bag. That just felt so that's like what you have to do on a sleeping bag for some reason. And that's the kind of thing that I don't know who added that, but it's just like I always love those details. There are so many of them, and they make the show the characters seem very real. And then I just liked the whole vibe because it was the first time that we got to do something long, so it's like it can be more slow burny, that they don't need to know, like usually you have a problem, the characters have a problem, and they almost immediately have to know what to do. But this time it's more like, oh my God, there's like, how are we gonna do this? There's no way we can do this. And so just seeing them have to deal with that and having a kind of spooky, slow burn vibe was my favorite part.
I was good with that. I felt like we covered so much. I really liked the montage. I'm not normally a fan of a montage. I feel like a lot of times I'm like, you're just trying to pass time. Like, give me it all. But I couldn't believe how much happened and how grateful I was because we got to cover so much so fast, and every moment was really special and without the words. So I don't know. I thought that was very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, Lumity Studios presents. That's the thing.
I love that we got to see like why giraffes were vanished. Yes. I was like, yes, there it is. That's why. I loved High and By, and the montage was incredible. I really liked learning that Camila is a secret nerd. That was a cool turn for her. That was really, really neat.
I do want to give a special shout out to Amelia Lawrence, who directed the first half of the special, and Haley Wong, who boarded pretty much the entirety of that montage sequence. So thank them; they did an incredible job with that. So thanks to them was obviously a really big episode because it was over 44 minutes. What was our total runtime? It was like 46 or something like that. A little over. So obviously, you know, taking on something that big, it had challenges, but it was also very, very rewarding. So for working on an episode like thanks to them and season 3 as a whole, which is just like an entirely new ballpark for us, like what was the most rewarding aspect of that for you? And then Kat, since you were on seasons 1 and 2 during your time on the show.
I can go first again. So this is my first time doing art direction officially on paper. And I think one of the most rewarding parts of even working on season 3 was figuring out a way to tell this story and still giving everyone that satisfaction that we really wanted from a full season. So I wanted to make sure to go above and beyond with the art team and hire such amazing and unique people to help tell this story, and I think we succeeded. The colors and the designs and everything are terrific, and I'm really excited for y'all to see the next episodes, because oh my gosh, you're in for a treat. Yes, indeed. But yeah, that would be my favorite. It's just gathering the design team and leading the charge to an amazing looking episode 1 of season 3.
Yeah, I think piggybacking off of what Andy was talking about, knowing that this was like the last time that we were going to be drawing certain things, it's sad in a lot of ways, but at the same time, when you're designing locations or designing anything, knowing that you're going to have to draw them again, you sort of subconsciously like economize things in a way, like knowing, okay, I need to know what these shapes are, I need to know everything about this building, but knowing that this is the last time, it kind of let you be like, all right, let's go. I'm never gonna have to draw this again, just one time and we're out. Like, you know, it gives you sort of the impetus to kind of just like leave it all out there.
Yeah. Oh no. Also going off of that, this was my first job as a design lead. So it was, thank you. But yeah, it was really cool, and we, thanks to Andy's guidance, we really did a lot more like palettes. We went all out with shifting colors and doing rims, and it was a lot of work, but it like the finished product speaks for itself, and it looked great. Yeah.
I like how we were like looking at the table, just like, do you want to say anything? Do you want to say anything? Yeah. Who? Kat? Okay.
So I actually got to be on the show really early on. I was on the first episode. I got to be on the pilot back when it was in development, and just it's really kind of hard to, you know, it's a lot of time, and it was my second big show. So I learned a lot while I was on it, and I really think one of the coolest parts, one of the most rewarding parts about being on a show like the Owl House is kind of the range of what we got to push, like thematically and in our boards. I mean, I don't know, there's really not a lot out there that's like that, and I got to do like really dramatic moments, I got to do flirty moments, it's so cool, and I look back at it, and while you're in it, you're not really aware of how cool it is, because you're like, oh gosh, I have a pitch, I have a deadline, and then I get to look back at stuff and I'm like, that was cool. Like, that was really neat that we got to do this. And so, yeah, I love all the character relationships, and that's my favorite stuff to board, is getting to put two characters into a room and like, what's their relationship, you know, how do they feel about each other? And we got to explore that in so many different ways on the show. So, and it made me grow as an artist. I got to really get in the headspace of characters because of J-Bo and all the writers' hard work on the script. So yeah, for me, that just working with the characters.
For me, it was basically season 3. We finally got to do. We finally had to tackle these questions that I had always been really interested in, and Dana had always been really interested in, or just like troubled by, almost like when you read other books, you know, Narnia or The Golden Compass, and you're kind of like, you just, it's like, you just, I mean, first you're totally transported to the world, and that's like the most fun thing, is being sort of enmeshed in it, but then the next thing is like, you're like, okay, what would this actually be like? what would it actually be like if this happened to me? And so we were always wondering, what is Luce going to do? How is Luce going to talk to her mom about this? How is Luce, if Luce goes back, what is she going to actually do? And I think it's hilarious that she has to go to school, but also like totally true. Like, it's just like, it's almost like, yeah, it's like a normal, you're expected to do so many weird things in high school, and it totally seems like, yeah, okay, yeah, I also have to deal with this, oh my God, and I have homework. It's just like so overwhelming. But so, yeah, so we finally got to, we had just been wondering about this stuff for forever, and we finally got to actually think about it and do it, and that was very, very fun.
Let's see. Just one. Thinking of, I don't know, this is a lot of the answers, but it's super, super exciting to see kind of, this has been like, yeah, kind of like what J-Bo said, like this looming decision in the human realm, this like looming encounter with her mom and figuring things out and getting back. It finally happened. So, you know, I've been trying to figure this out as a character all this time, and now it's just there. So it was almost like a relief in that sense, like, okay, let's finally do this, like, let's see. And obviously I didn't write it, but it was way better than anything I could have thought of for Luce. It was just like so cute and magical, even for the human realm.
Oh, I wasn't in this episode.
Oh yeah. Resting.
Then I'll go next. So I'm the voice director for the show. So I work with all the actors in the staff, and it was lousy that Lilith wasn't there. But I haven't, we saw Luce dropped into this strange world, which was in some ways like, the best thing that ever happened to her and the place that she really belongs, but then also just so different and, dangerous. and then, I think all of us were like, whoa, what happened if it was the other way? So it was really rewarding to watch the kids on the other side, like trying to navigate the human realm and be polite and be good guests, even though they, have no idea what they're doing. And also everything is just so charged in this episode. Like, it's all been leading up to this. There's this huge dramatic moment. Nobody knows how their family is on the other side. And everybody's going through stuff. And so for every single person in the cast, it's just like ratcheted up to like the most dramatic, and then there's like these moments of levity where we let it all out, and like it's just so cool to watch these characters at this point, not knowing what they're gonna do next, and then like seeing them all come together and go, we don't know what we're doing, but we're gonna try. So.
Speaking of the characters, we got to see, the kiddos spending their time in the human realm, and obviously we kind of got like scrapbooks and like little like snapshots of kind of their time there. But what were some moments that just you would have enjoyed to see the Hexside kiddos doing while they were there?
More dates.
More dates.
Detention.
I was hoping, they would all go to school and just see them try to be in like a normal school and be bored, and be like, it's so safe.
They're like, lockers don't eat us here?
Yeah.
What?
I wanted to see one of the demon kids have to go to the doctor or something. And finally, like, find out if demon physiology is, like, different. Like, someone breaks an arm and there's no bones in there or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's just full of
like,
eyes.
Hunter, you're made of wood. That's so weird.
I think a road trip would, like, in terms of just what would have been fun to do with a little more time in the human realm. Like, I do wish they had gotten to explore, like, I was thinking, we were thinking about just this road trip, because, you have the whole eastern seaboard, so they could either go up to, like, Maine and be trapped on, like, an island or something, a lighthouse-style thing, rowing around in boats, or they could go down to Charleston and it could be really haunted and mossy and stuff. But obviously a big part of the experience of high school is, driving around. So I think it would have been really fun to have them. Yeah, just.
God, who would have driven? None
Yeah.
of them should be driving.
Hunter would drive. Hunter can drive. Oh no. He's good at it. Just put him in front of it.
Yeah, I was going to say B. Maybe B could drive.
Oh yeah, B would drive.
Okay, B.
Yeah, she could transform it into like an adult. It's all good. An adult with a driver's
movie,
license.
we can just transfer into a vehicle.
I would have loved to have seen them go to Comic-Con or something
Oh
similar.
my god.
Yeah. See more like Cosmic Frontier stuff. Dig
Yeah.
more into Camilla's nerd stuff.
Camilla would have definitely win.
Oh,
Or what
yes.
is she called? What is the Little Witch Academia one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
What do they
remember-
call it?
I don't remember the equivalent.
What's our equivalent? Oh, season 2. Cat.
Which one?
I can't hear you.
What's Little Witch Academia, the reference? What do they call it?
Oh, Demon Slayer Academia?
Demon Slayer Academia, yeah.
The laziest thing ever.
They're like, here's 2 animes.
We're also super like nerds and anime fans, so like if you see a bunch of things in the background, it was very intentional. We would be like, how do we make this more nerdy?
Honestly, just them going to like a grocery store. I think would be fun because one of them would get stuck in one of their like freezer areas, and it's just like I don't know. I think that would like blow Gus's mind just to see an entire store of like food and things, and I don't know. I think
And
that
like
would
the conveyor belts.
yeah, absolutely.
So, if you guys seen the credits, one of the amazing storyboard artists, Don Hahn, came back to do the end credit illustrations. And the cool thing is that our directors, Bo, Bridget, and Amelia, kind of did some like rough thumbs for that. And I think it was actually Bridget had the crew going to the grocery store, and it's like Amity and Hunter like looking suspiciously at a banana, and then like Gus in the back with Willow in a cart with like a bottle of mustard, and they're just super stoked about it. But that was kind of one of the other fun things that we got to see is like the thumbnails that they came up with of like other little moments that we could have seen. But Don absolutely like knocked it out of the park with the end credit illustrations that we got. Did anyone else have some moments?
That we'd like to see? That we
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the show's perfect the way it is, but wouldn't it be fun if King came over and like became a YouTube star or something like that? King could have some fun.
Or like became the king of his own country.
Yes, or became actual
Loki
king, or
actually
like
became leader.
yeah.
Be like a very
mascot.
clickbaity title, like Weird Skull Dog yells at us. You won't believe what happens next. So obviously we love working on this show. Like this show's just like kind of like once in a lifetime kind of opportunities to work on. And I know a lot of people in the audience and people who watch the show want to kind of know like, how does animation work? How do you do your jobs and all that stuff? So I thought it'd be kind of nice if we went down the line. This was very intentional, the order that we sat in, to kind of take you through like the production pipeline of how an episode is made and kind of like what everybody does at each stage of the process. But instead of taking like a year to make an episode, it will be a couple minutes. You will be quizzed at the end, so be prepared for that.
Okay, so the first, in terms of writing, let's think. The first thing is you just brainstorm you get together, you brainstorm a ton of ideas, and then you just, sometimes you know what you want to do, sometimes you're like, we have to do a story where, that we'll get loose to this place. Other times you're just like, okay, we don't have any episode here, we just, whatever, any idea is good, just, if you have ideas for an episode, please, just have them. And so then, then you just turn it, whatever it is, Dana would eventually decide on what seemed most promising to her, and we would write out, you go from these little one-sentence style premises to an outline that's like anywhere, 7 to 10 pages, where you're trying to get, that's kind of where you try to see if the story is actually working, where you're trying to hit the big important beats, while also peppering in, you kind of write it in a summary style, but you're peppering in, character dialogue and stuff, and there are note sessions based on that. A lot of times the outline, you'll realize it doesn't work. This story is not going to work, so you scrap it and you start over again. And eventually, after a ton of brainstorming and talking and consulting with Dana and having the writers read each other's stuff, then eventually you find an outline, or the schedule is like, okay, now you have to write a script like immediately. So then it's script writing time, and people usually do that solo. We had, obviously in this season, not really, but you would break it up into sections where you just go off and write your own thing. Then you bring it all back, and Dana does her notes pass, and the execs do their notes pass, and then we all get together for a table read, and we split up the parts and everything, and we also come in with, we've read the script before, so we come in with ideas about how we want to punch it up, different lines, different, if there's anything really, by that time there's usually nothing glaring in terms of like stuff that's not working, but you're just adding layers, adding a little bit of richness and humor and so forth. And that's it. That's really fun.
And then.
Yeah.
It's not over yet, trust me. It's not.
No, it is not over at that point. So when you're a board artist, the script's done. We always have like a board launch where we get into a room and it's Dana, the writers, the directors, you, and we go through the script together. They call out moments that feel really specific if there's any ideas, and then your director will divvy up the script and give you your section. And it is kind of storyboarding is really interesting because depending on your team dynamic, it can be a very solo job or it can be a very collaborative job. And you're always working with your director. Your director guides you with what's the best way to kind of get your stuff from your brain to your page. And for me, I was really blessed that I had such a great team dynamic. Haley Foster was on my team for both seasons. Mike was on my team for season 2, as well as Luce for a second there. And it was such a great, it was just a great dynamic. We always go, we thumbnailed, and then if there's ever moments where we're like, wow, we're having a tough time here, or what is, is this a good way to do it? We'd always bounce ideas off of each other. And it's fun. My favorite part is roughing stuff out and doing all the really scribbly sketches and all the brainstorming. That to me is the most creatively fulfilling. And then we would go and pitch it to Dana, the writers, our supervising director, and Dana would do her pass. And you always felt really good when you got like good reactions from Dana. Like Dana, as you guys know, she's very, what I love about working with Dana is when she likes something. Mm-hmm. And so like there was never any like, does she like it, does she not like it? And when she liked something, you're like, yes, nailed it. It always felt really good coming out of a pitch that way. And then once Dana gives her notes, then we go back and do cleans. That's where we make it all pretty and whatnot. And yeah, that's kind of what we do as board artists. And it's a lot of reworking a lot of times. Very, very rarely will you get an idea down from start to finish. Whoop. Sorry. Rarely will you get an idea where your first idea is a good idea or even like the best idea. But the great thing about boarding is it's so collaborative that I don't know. That's my favorite part. It's everybody's working together to create the best thing, and by the time you finish a final product, it has so many touch points of everybody on it. So, yeah. And then it moves on.
Oh, and it moves on. So first, I'd like to get everyone to give a big round of applause to our production team because. The show could not be made without our production team. They touch every single process, every single point of this whole pipeline. They're involved. And our writers, our storyboard artists, our designers are really focusing on one point, and the production team organizes and communicates the whole picture to make sure everyone's on the same page. So once the storyboard is done, we have a bunch of animatics and a bunch of joke passes and just making sure it all works for time and feels like a good Owl House episode. And then eventually our production team does a lovely breakdown of every single asset, every single page. If it's loose in PJs, we need that. If she's then covered in mud, we need the mud. And then if there's a new background and a new angle, we need that. So as the art director, I'm going through and making sure everything is called out as we need it. If we need new palettes, if we need new angles, etc., time of days, and really just focusing on making sure we have everything called out that might need a reference, a drawing, or what have you. And there's a lot of design reviews that go into that. We were all in the pandemic, the panorrhea, whatever you want to call it. So it was very interesting working from home, but we had a lot of really fun moments where like Dana would draw on the screen, because we like use this program where we could just see everyone drawing on one presentation. So we would get notes that way, and it was really interesting trying to work that way, but we made it work. You know, we're doing it. We're going strong. So yeah, we'll have all the designs. We have character design, we have background design, we have prop and effect design, and then eventually we also have background color and color design. And I'm also, obviously, they'll go more in depth on parts of it. But yeah, after the storyboard, it gets really soaked into the design of everything. And we're making sure that everything's called out. And if we want to add any Easter eggs or anything that weren't in the script, that's where we can add it. And yeah, and just fleshing it out and having Dana guide us through as well to be like, that's cool, let's change that. And like, let's redraw that a little bit. So yeah, that's a nice little step, but more focused on the background design.
Yeah, so like Andy was saying, we'll get a huge long list of things we need to draw, or things we need to edit, or things we need to see if the overseas studio is okay with handling. So yeah, the start of my job as lead BG designer is kind of going through and seeing what we need, what can be their problem, what can be someone else's problem.
We spent like 4 hours, maybe even.
We had huge design breakdowns.
Go together like through the storyboard to be like, we need this, and then also look in previous episodes to be like, do we have this?
Yeah, there's a lot of going through the animatic and then frantically like getting Andy on Slack and being like, Andy, first pass is like 180 backgrounds.
There's no way this is getting approved. And I was
we can't do this. We can't do this.
Yeah,
we can't do it.
A lot of that, and then just trying to find ways to be like, we can try to make it work somehow.
This can work for here too. We'll just and we had four new background designers on new freelance on season 3. So at this point, kind of we all know what Owl House backgrounds look like. We know kind of like the baseline for detail. We know that if you're drawing this, you use this kind of line and that sort of thing. But communicating that to 3 people who are entirely new to the show, figuring out A, how to get them close to show style, B, how to figure out exactly, because they're new to me also, figuring out what their strengths are as artists and where they can really shine on the show, like, making sure that you're divvying out this huge workload of backgrounds to sort of try and align with their strengths.
Absolutely.
So that
and also like talk to them and be like, what do you like to draw?
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything that happened that you really want to draw? Because we want to get that to you. We want that passion within drawing.
Right, exactly. And making sure that they have the freedom. I mean, BG design is one where it doesn't usually affect the plot, but it really affects the story.
Yes.
As sort of like building out the overall world and the feeling of it, and kind of what you want the environment to be.
We also tweaked the backgrounds ever so slightly.
We did, yeah. Andy came in and spoke with Dana, and basically there's kind of like a temperature check at the beginning of every season as to like, okay, what stuff are we really happy with? What stuff do we want to change? Like, I don't know, some really granular stuff too, but it's important in the long run.
Absolutely. A couple examples. The background line we changed ever so slightly. Now it's a little bit of a thicker, like a more dense line, I should say. The bushes are a little bit more leafy.
Yeah, we changed our tree trunk language. You know, it's like
tree trunks were feeling a little bit too paper towel roll, and now they're like a little bit more like lumpy and like more tree-esque.
I mean, part of the thing with backgrounds is that it's just so much drawing that it's you have to figure out what stuff you can kind of commodify and be like, okay, I'm drawing each of these trees, but really what I'm doing is reaching into like my mind cabinet and just like paint bucketing tree. So you have to know like what the language is and what you can do to indicate that. And then once that's all sort of figured out, I guess, it's just a lot of drawing and a lot of inventing, and then it moves on to color.
Yeah, so as color lead, I spent a lot of time with Andy and breaking down how we were gonna handle our palettes for the episodes, and when we could reuse those or how we could repurpose them, because one model of loose quickly turns into about like 15 different models of loose in different time periods. So once we've kind of gone through kind of like what they do with backgrounds, we go through the extensive list of what we need and palettes and everything. I will also work with Andy to develop the colors for those specific settings, and that's kind of our base, and then we'll branch out off of that when we get to the actual color part, which we had an amazing color team this season. Sam, Dresden, Shauna, and Mari, amazing.
Mari?
Love you all. They did a great job, and we get the black and white designs from design, and we get the colored backgrounds that have been painted, and we use those painted backgrounds in order to make sure that the characters and everything fits within the scene and that it looks right and stands out some, but not too much. And just finding that balance and making it all mesh together. It's always really fun to take those designs that we have and see how we could even do any sort of color references, like our Rocco's Modern Life reference in this last episode. I was a huge fan of that growing up.
If any of y'all are Paper Mario fans, you may have seen another reference in the when they were trying on clothes.
Amity's.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Amity's hat.
Amity's hat. So we take those designs, or the black and white designs, we put them into a program that's called Toon Boom Harmony, which is it's a lot. Yeah. It vectorizes the artwork and allows us to create a palette list so that our colors stay consistent as we work with our overseas studio and make sure that our colors are exactly how they should be from start to finish. And
yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot. There's a lot of assets that come through, and we have to color every single one. Any debris, any rock, any rims on the character, we gotta figure it all out.
Yeah, we have a lot. And also there's like background paint, and usually that happens before the color design happens, but sometimes, schedule's hard. And, if we see tears in sunset, and then we see tears in the graveyard, the tears are going to be different colors, it's a different temperature of light, so we really have to go through and make sure all of these models are colored correctly, so that way the setting, it's all nice and harmonious.
Yeah, I don't work on the color aspect, but I really do want to plug how much work the color designers and color leads have to do on this and every show. But it's like, I mean, part of the reality with a pipeline is that inevitably some problems just have to be shunted off to the next person in the pipeline. And when you're at the color design, there's nowhere else to shunt it. So basically anything because they have to touch every last part of this show, and that's something that most of the people in the design don't have to deal with at all. So it's like a super heroic effort.
Well, that's what the best part about writing is you're at the very beginning.
Yeah, you get to make everything out.
And basically every season and every episode, the production team would be like, okay, well, there needs to be some really big changes in the way that we write these things and the schedule, and you need to have way fewer backgrounds. You need to be very mindful. But as soon as you start writing, you're just like, nope. Like, and you never have to. It's not, well. Sometimes it comes back to bite you, but mostly you just are like, okay, see ya.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, why? There's so much to do.
Yeah, it's like, how long does it take you to write big skeletons?
An awesome fight happens is the worst thing you can get as a storyboard artist.
And there's a lot of those, even in my scripts, like big fight happens.
We cry when we get those.
Yeah, and you can't just like, these things happen and you have to visualize, okay, so the big fight for like at the graveyard, and then the gate opens and everything has a rim, and you really have to think about what's happening is we have like 7 characters, all like
way too many. First.
Secondly, we have a huge background that now needs another color, 7 characters that need a rim, effects that are happening. All of these have to be taken into account of. So we draw it once, but we color it 5,000 times. And eventually we get the final product from overseas. And also, I forgot to say, we have the recording process. Did it happen after storyboard on this show?
Yeah.
Yeah, after storyboard? Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. Some shows, all production pipelines are different. Some shows like to have the script and do the records and have the storyboard artists go from the record, like a radio
Not
play.
that.
Yeah, but not this one. So
Annie, can you explain what a rim is on the?
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
I've been writing, if you see me on my phone, I'm writing down questions.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't help myself. I was trying not to interrupt you all, but
Absolutely.
I have like 7 questions.
So there's a rim and a shadow rim. And if there's like a bright light and you only see a sliver of like a light on a character, that's called a rim. However, if there's more of a shadow on the character, like maybe the light's coming a little bit more like a spotlight and it casts like more of a shadow on me, that's a shadow rim. And all of those need to have a design to tell the animators the volume of the character, and then all of them need a color to say these are the colors of both the highlight and the shadow for every single part of the character.
It's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. Yeah.
That sounds
A beautiful
so
nightmare.
fun.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of work. And also, Shawn really downplayed Harmony. Harmony is a huge program, and he really took charge in leading the color designers through this program to really help them, because it's different if y'all have worked in Photoshop. It's just like, I want this color, and then Harmony, you have to play with nodes and connect nodes together to make different blending modes and different colors, and it's a very intricate process, and I'm very glad that we had our leads helping out. And real quick, round of applause to our leads. Lead background designer, lead color designer. And Peggy was our lead background painter, and Peggy knocked it out of the park. They did all of our color scripts, and just a lot of like the bigger backgrounds that we needed help with. And our background paint team is fantastic, and we really love and cherish their work. You can see one of our color scripts on the wall. Yeah, that's Peggy's work over there. The color script, we would sit down and really go through. It's like, okay, so I want this moment. I want these colors to kind of represent this character. So every time we start seeing these colors, the audience is going to be like, oh, wait, I have this feeling this character is going to come up. So I really sat down with Peggy and we just like brainstormed like how to really push the colors for these season 3 episodes.
I make fart noises into a microphone. Suddenly I'm like, wow, so much goes into this. That's amazing. Thank you for explaining it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. Does that cover the, and then for voice acting, yeah, if you really need.
Nope, I have 3 follow-up questions. I would like to. Can I seriously, really fast, ask them?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. JBL, let's go back to question. Like, when you get notes from the execs, what are those like? Are they like, well, this absolutely can't happen, or like, that was too sad, like, or are they like, that line wasn't funny, like, what? Can you give us like 2 general ideas of like what kind of notes you might get?
That's so interesting. Yeah, some of it will just be, I guess exec notes are a little different from S&P notes, because we
Yeah.
will.
S&P
we'll-
is like too violent,
Yeah,
take it back.
and so, yeah.
It's fair.
I guess exec notes sometimes, you know, I think our execs were great, and they,
Just curious.
but it's still kind of you're speaking different languages in a way,
Mm.
but I think the most useful thing is like, okay, if they may not have the right idea about, you know, they may be calling out a section and have a really weird idea about the right way to fix it, but the fact that they're calling out the section means
Says
that
enough.
something is like off with it. And so you just kind of, you know, try to align something towards,
'Cause
anyway, you're
coming
just like,
from,
okay, we got to work on this a little
perspectives
more.
with different skill sets,
Yeah.
so that's why I was wondering.
And they mainly have like, you know, they have questions about motivation and, you know,
Which
so a
says
lot of
more,
that
yeah.
is just like, yeah, you'll see that in the board. That will be really obvious in the board, like how they're feeling. So I think that's mainly the exec note. And then the S&P notes are the ones that make everyone
Yeah.
flip out and go insane.
They're like, that was weird.
This character looks like Garfield too much. We can't have that.
Okay, so Sam, my question was, you were explaining that with like new artists and onboarding like new team members, part of your job is like communicating to them the style to make sure you're all on like the same page about what the show's style is. How do you describe that? Like, what do you do? Or is it more like, I like what you did here, but loose is like softer, or like what? Or do you come in and be like, our show is bleh.
Well, we have a style guide, at least, that was made for season 1 that Stephen Sugar worked on, and then Andy sort of elaborated on it before season 3. And it's basically like we have one single Photoshop brush that we use for everything, but it's also sort of communicating really granular, weird things that as long as you have those, it'll read as like, oh, this is an Owl House style, like the way that we do tree bark or something like that. You can draw the tree sort of differently, but if the bark has that shorthand how we do it, oh, that's suddenly, it's close to Owl House style or close enough that it passes. And because this is like a production pipeline, when color gets to it, then color does the Owl House sort of treatment. So even if it's not exactly right, each progressive step gets it closer to the overall kind of Owl House look. And then by the end, so many people have worked on it that
It's been zhuzhed into place.
Yeah, exactly. And one
Very
person's, you know, being slightly off style, it doesn't matter nearly as much when you look at the totality of it.
Cool. Rebecca, you're the captain again. I'm really sorry. I had to write them down. I had so many questions.
No, you're good. But I wanted to hear from our voice actors, the process on voice acting and being a dialogue director and all that stuff.
Well, every morning I get picked up in a limo. No, I mean, what we do is, it's so dependent on everything that's come before. If we don't have a good script, you don't have good characters. If we don't have good visuals, we don't know what we're doing. I mean, it's such a symbiotic, beautiful, if we don't have a good director, the performance comes across flat. Like, we are so lucky to
Where
work
they
on a
ask you
show
to do
like
stuff
this.
that doesn't make sense, and you're like, why?
When they tell you to fart in the microphone and you're like, why would I?
Could you pretend you're eating an imaginary banana, and you're like, sort of? See what it sounds like. Can we just get a real banana? It's like sometimes like weird things people make difficult, and you're like, I have a granola bar in my bag if you really want to. I feel like that would be better than me going like, like
Or drinking. I hate when they're like, drink.
drink.
Why?
Burping on demand is hard. You can get like 1 or 2 takes, but it's not easy to keep burping like that. That's a talent, a separate talent. Anywho, that's our job. It's tough.
I did have an audition once that asked me to burp for 10 straight seconds, and I was like, I can't.
Oh, I would have booked it. You should. Now you know. Send me that.
I guess I'm in the wrong career.
I got lots of acid reflux. My question, you asked me what my job is. That was the question, right? That's
Yeah,
where
let's
we're
talk about voice acting and like what
You're doing it.
We got far away. From that. Okay, so I get my script. I read the pages, right? And then if I don't understand something, I read it again. And sometimes if I'm like, where are we supposed to be going? Then I can like read it again, or I can take some notes. But the longer you're one character, like the privilege of that is actually like, my job just gets easier. Like the hardest part is usually establishing the character and making sure you're all on the same page. But then once you know your character, it's like, oh, of course. Like, and it's actually not super crazy hard. Like in the beginning, making your character is the hardest, but Dana and Eden always made my job really easy by them being super clear on like what they needed and what was appropriate for Luz. Bye, princesses.
Snow White.
Oh, and M&M too? I thought it was 2 Disney princesses.
No, the other one was M&M.
Oh. I stand by my line. Bye, princess.
It's like a princess.
Yeah, and then in the booth, we work with the lovely Eden, who says really nice things to me until I do my job correctly and gives me notes. And sometimes it's like some jokes are like rhythmic or like musical. So even if you say the line, if you don't like land the music of the joke, it's not funny. And so sometimes you'll try a few different things and then someone will be like, actually it's like da 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 da, and you're like, oh, it is, okay, let me just, okay. And you, so that, it's not just saying the words or acting the emotions. Sometimes it's like really understanding the dynamics of a line and a joke and where you are in the joke. And sometimes I'll be like interacting with someone, so I'm like, okay, if Cissy already recorded, how did she do that line? Because I need to know if she said it deadpan or if she was being goofy, and then I'll be goofy.
Always goofy.
That's our job. We take care of our voices too.
Well, I think the other thing where it's so important to have someone like Eden is like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Lilith is not in every scene. It is a crime.
Boo, J-Bo.
Crime against the Titan. But I only get the scenes that I'm in. So I don't get to see the entire episode. I don't know what's happening throughout the whole thing. I don't know the drama that has happened.
Which I just found out. I do get the whole script, and I feel really fortunate now because I was like, you must be so confused all the time.
All the time. All the time. But to be able to walk into my session and know that I am in the greatest hands in Hollywood, like she not only like, not only can paint the picture for me beautifully for what's happening, but also make sure I understand the moment, the context, what happened before, what has Nikki already recorded, what is, you know, I don't know, Matthew Reese already recorded, and we get what we need, and it's so easy in your hands. That's all.
And the only time we really have input is if I'm like fortunate enough, like, to not understand something, and then someone's like, no, I thought that was weird too. Yeah. And like we'll try the line a few times, and we're like, it's not landing, or this moment doesn't make sense because I just did this. That's like, otherwise I'm just working.
Well,
I'm
and also, I mean, I know that they said they just fart into a mic or whatever, but also they like sometimes things don't work, and then we have to kind of work through it. And like Dana will be like, that's better. Let's do that. So I mean, it is a bit of a collaborative process. We have boards to reference, although we don't often show, because we don't want the actors to be like, I'm going to do what's in the boards. But we all have seen them, so we know what the idea is, and we understand the context. And part of my job as voice director is to see, they're really super highly trained and skilled performers, but all they need is information. When you're doing like a play or a TV show, you've got the props, you've got the costume, you've got the other actors to work with, you've read the whole script, you have all the context. And when you're in a vocal booth, it's a hermetically sealed room. You have no actors anywhere near you. You don't have the scene that you're in. You don't have the costume. You aren't even the same age as your character, or sometimes the same species. So all it is providing clarity and context so that they can be like, oh, I get all of this. Now I can do my job and be emotionally present and interacting in the scene. And because they don't have the other actors, either we'll read the scene together, or if we have it already recorded, we'll play them the lines so that they're like not doing it completely in a vacuum, and it can seem more real. So that's like, that's
when you're doing Bosha, like, do you direct yourself?
Oh yeah. That was my question. I was like, do you go from side to side on the glass?
It's horrible to eat. No, it's horrible. Yes. The answer is sometimes. I mean, like sometimes if Dana's there, like then she's like,
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's
she
so
pretends
great,
to be
yes.
doing what you're doing.
But if it's me directing me, I'm like, that's not good enough. Again.
Take 96.
But these guys are so insanely talented, and I can just be like, hey, what about this idea? And then they just do it and make it incredible. And I'm just like, whoa, this is, it's just amazing. It really elevates things. It makes things alive. And what Dana and I are trying to do is try to honor all the work that's going on either before we get in the booth or concurrently, so that it still fits in with the tone of the show and what the DNA of what the show is.
So that's how you make a show. And that's also only just pre-production. That's all the stuff that happens before we even get the animation back. And then we go into post-production, and then there's retakes, and then there's ADR, and it's just a whole thing. So anyway, cartoons take a long time. I just want a time check from our crew. We have about 15 minutes before we open it up for our audience Q&A, correct? I got the thumbs up, all right. So we're going to kind of do like a rapid fire. I have a question for each of you to kind of talk a little bit about like kind of your career path and getting into your jobs. We'll popcorn it around. So, Sam. All right, so as a background designer, you're kind of tasked with creating the overall look and feel of the Boiling Isles. When you started on the show, did you pull from any inspirations? And how did you approach creating that? And do you feel that since your time on the show, do you feel like that's changed at all over time?
I think naturally it kind of changes over time. I feel like once the world of the Boiling Isles was kind of figured out, some locations kind of make themselves, like without needing to really find reference or anything. But initially we took a lot of inspiration from like Flemish and Dutch architecture. Like we tried to avoid the kind of obvious, like we're not doing a lot of Gothic, like stuff, First of all, it's way too detailed to do over and over, aside from like key locations. But one of Dana's things was Hieronymus Bosch was like a big inspiration. So we looked at a lot of his paintings and how he would kind of work buildings.
Did you sleep after that?
Oh no, I'm a horror guy.
Okay, yeah. Hieronymus is
no
not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, and so we took a lot of inspiration from like the FromSoft games too. I'm a big Souls weirdo, and just anything to kind of push it as far into horror as we could, while still like it still had to be kind of friendly and on brand for Disney, but tried to push it as far as possible. Only a few times. Dana's kind of game for whatever we wanted to pitch. Only a few times was it like too gross. Oh, yeah. Even for Dana, where we had to pull things back.
That was Letissa, right?
The what?
Letissa?
I want to see what was too gross for Dana.
Letissa was, the hair follicle stuff was it was worse before it got reined back in.
It's still pretty gross too.
It's still really gross.
What is?
Letissa. The location.
Like the police.
I think it's like in the armpit, which is why it has the hair follicles.
Yeah, it's really gross. But also, even the concept of the Boiling Isles being on the Titan, like what that means. I think from the beginning of the show, I had the idea that like the Titan was kind of trying to like regrow itself, or was trying to heal or something like that over time. So there's all these kind of like fleshy growths and teeth and things like that. Like the Titan itself has way more bones than like a normal thing has, and my concept was just like it was stitching itself back together in some way, and it wasn't doing it in the normal like healing process. That was kind of my concept. So trying to get that through was a mixed bag, I think. But
Okay, who will we go to next? Who do you, Jabo? So you've also been on the show from the very beginning, along with and a warden. So what's it like for you working with these characters in these storylines since the very beginning, and now having an episode like Thanks to Them in season 3, where they're a little bit older, they're growing up, and now these storylines are coming to a conclusion?
I think like one of the things about basically, I think the characters have always been almost entirely fully formed. Like, from the first pitch packet that I saw, I feel like Luce and Ida and King were there already. And anytime we introduced a new character, actually we didn't, Hunter was kind of the first one we introduced and had to really think about on the fly. But everyone else seemed fully formed to me, and also the goals, the places we wanted to get them were fully formed, and we wanted, and the kind of like the visuals Dana even wanted to end the series with, she had very strong ideas about that. So that stuff was always there. And so, yeah, it was like amazing at first, because you're just like, oh yeah, this is great, like, that's awesome, like, can't wait to see it. But then you actually have to do it, and you have to somehow, I don't know, none of us had ever written 30-minute kind of television like this, and so there was just a lot of trial and error and trying to figure out where, Camila, we always wanted her to see the demon realm and know what happened to Luce, but originally the second episode I was assigned was one where Camilla was in the demon realm. This would have been like episode 6 or something of season 1, and so there was a lot of experimentation like that, because that didn't work at all. There was like a flying ghost pirate ship. I mean, there was all this stuff that, anyway, so there's so much stuff like that has happened over the years, where we knew where we wanted to get, but we didn't know how to get there yet. And so I think that's been the most interesting thing to see, and the most kind of rewarding thing is feeling like we got where we wanted to go. And but then not everything. One thing this reminded me of was I hope the pitch packet does like leak someday, because a lot of stuff there's stuff that's very different in that. Like Emperor Bellos was not the Emperor. He was an advisor to Emperor Pupa, who was this. It was like a cocoon. The ruling family, they had all been insects, and Bellos was keeping this insect in its cocoon, being like, I'm the only one who can understand why it screams. And it was supposed to hatch, but he was somehow going to be keeping it from not hatching, and it was the coolest idea ever, but I guess it was like too complicated and weird, but it was so cool. So there's a lot of stuff like that stuff did change, but the normal characters were always there.
All right, let's hop over to Eden.
Yes.
Keeping you on your toes. So you're a veteran voice actress, but the Owl House is your second production where you've been the dialogue director. The first being a little show, you guys may have heard of it. It's called Amphibia. What was the biggest adjustment for you from being a voice actress to being a director, and how did you approach a show like the Owl House that has its characters going through such a wide range of emotions that needed to be reflected in the performances?
Okay, first of all, these questions rock. You're amazing. So I guess the biggest change, from being an actor to being a director, is just seeing a more broad perspective, like what the scenes need, what the show needs, how all the characters fit in, instead of tracking one character's emotional journey and arc. You track all the characters' emotional journeys and arcs and how they all fit into each other and affect each other. And then the best difference is that I'm working with incredible actors that actually do what I tell them to do, instead of with me, I can't do it. So it's amazing and collaborative, and so much fun to get to work off of these people and see them perform at amazing heights. They're so talented. I love them so much. They make my job so fun, and it's working with this cast is incredible. I guess Owl House as its own beast or titan or whatever you would say. I think the biggest challenge of Owl House is the intricate storytelling and tracking what's going on, because it's very dense there's a lot of lore, there's a lot to sort through, and we have to figure out exactly where each character is in this specific moment as we're working on these scenes. And that it is so emotional. And working with Dana, I worked on the pilot, and immediately I was like, oh, I get her. I want to live in her brain. She's genius. And I was like, this show is super grounded. It has to be, because it's enormous. Like, they live on a skeleton, you know? So I was like, okay, I get it. The vocal performances are the audience's way in. This is how we're going to ground story in reality and make it relatable for everyone. I think we can tell it's pretty relatable. And these incredible actors, like bringing the real stuff, and then also like all the funny as well. Like there's the this, and then there's the this, and like sometimes we're in records. The rain scene comes to mind, that when Luce appeared before her mother in the rain, and that incredibly emotional scene. Those two women were not in the same room together doing that scene. They did it completely separately. We played the audio for each other. They clicked right into it. They're so capable and so willing to go there. I'm so grateful. So it was, for this particular show, it was about taking this huge world and making it directly relatable to people watching it, and super human, something that we could all relate to. So.
We're running out of time, so we're gonna go like rapid fire. So Kat, so you were a storyboard artist on the show for seasons 1 and 2, but you've recently gotten a position at DTVA on another show called Haley's on It as a director. Woo! Yeah! So what are some things that you learned from the Owl House, and what has been kind of the transition like from coming from Owl House to being on Haley and being a director now, and like what you learned on there?
Well, firstly, I was, again, like surrounded by so many talented people and was able to soak up so much knowledge from, Dana, our supervising director, Stephen Sandoval, my directors, Stu Livingston and Amelia Lawrence, and then all of my friends that are on it,
He's coming for you.
Bo, another director on season 2, and so I got to really see how they handled episodes, not just creatively, but also from more of like a leadership and production POV. I think one of the biggest transitions for me is kind of not drawing as much. I mean, when you're boarding, you're so in it, and you're drawing every day, and you're really thinking about like the characters and whatnot. And for me, being a director, it's more about making sure I'm helping my board artist have the best versions of their boards. Like, it's not my job to reboard, or I would just be boarding it. And so I want to make sure that they're getting to put their artistic input into it in the same way that I know I wanted to put my artistic input in when I was boarding. And that's one of the really cool things about watching any episode is I can point out who boarded whose stuff. Even when it's animated, I know who did what. Even just even if I wasn't on that one, I can tell who did that scene. Because everybody has their own quirks, and that energy was so there from the very beginning, and that's what I've always wanted to bring as a director, is being like, I want to make sure everybody's getting to put their mark in on the show, and it's the best version of what they can do. So.
Andy. So you said that Owl House was your first production as an art director, but you've previously worked in production on shows like Adventure Time and Samurai Jack. You're a color designer on Summer Camp Island, the Mickey Mouse shorts, and a color lead on Amphibia. So working on the production side of things as well as like the artistic and creative side, do you feel that prepped you for being an art director?
Yes.
Next question.
Next question. No. So knowing the production pipeline like the back of my hand was crucial for me to getting to where I am right now. And as a color designer, you really do have to be on your toes and see continuity and touch almost every single model and look at every single background, and then you could be like, oh, well, that doesn't really hook up. Did you mean to do that? And art director, and then the art director would be like, oh my gosh, no, that needs to be changed. So all of this prepped me for being where I am right now, and the biggest thing about being an art director is that you not only have to make decisions and get in the show creator's head to be like, would the show creator want this? Yes, they would, and this is why. But you also have to lead a team and trust their vision and say, you know, maybe I would have done it this way, but the way that you did it is so unique and special, and I love that. And really embracing everyone's voice and vision on the show and being able to say, that's the look that we want, and I'm going to carry it through. So yeah, and also helping with the post side as well. But yeah, having all of the culmination of being a production coordinator, assistant, and also a color designer and color design lead, all of that led to me being here, and I love it. I love art directing. I love managing people. It's so much fun, and there's a lot of forms. And you don't, and like Kat was saying, you don't really draw as much. However, in the post side, my whole design team is gone, unfortunately, because they're all done pre-production. So I'm just left to do all of the post-production corrections. And sometimes that means I draw new backgrounds, paint new backgrounds, draw new things here and there. So it's a lot of work, but it's so fun and fulfilling. And this show is amazing.
All right, Shawn,
Hello.
you've also been on the show since very early on. So as a color designer, you have to be very versatile in coloring everything because you're getting props, effects, characters, special poses, and all that stuff. Do you feel that you've improved in your craft in any specific area? And do you have a favorite thing to color on the show?
Yes, I feel like I've improved in all of it. Owl House was my first design position, so it was my first production I was ever on, first show I was ever on, and I rose the ranks and I became color lead in this third season, so, you know. I would say that's a pretty big growth. But in general, I love to, coloring the characters is always fun because you get to mess with their clothes, and like, I love to create variants when we were doing reviews and
options.
Yeah.
So good.
it's like a Smash Bros. Select screen.
Dana would always be like, ooh, there's options.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, there are.
But my absolute favorite was just anything that was gross or disgusting. I just wanted to like push it as far as I could and see like what we would be allowed to do, and just make it try and gross Dana out was like always the goal. Yeah.
Design reviews are fun. Yeah. All right. I know I'm trying to see like who's down there. Hi. Hello. Nikki. We'll go with Nikki. We'll go. Howdy. Nikki and Cissy. So through seasons 1 and 2, Luz was kind of like the optimist among the characters, but in season 3, we're seeing a more hardened, pessimistic kind of Luz. What was it like for you stepping into the booth and giving a voice to that side of her character?
I think it's just okay. So much yeah. It's just we'll rock with it. Everything I touch makes it worse. Okay. I think was refreshing, to be honest, because like we were all coming out of COVID and I was not feeling sunshine and rainbows. I don't know how you all felt in quarantine, but I was not doing well. And so that was like kind of nice to not have to try and not bring that part of me to the booth. Some days. It was also just very organic. Like, you have to check on your tough friends. You have to check on your happy friends because that's their disposition. It doesn't mean that they're not struggling. And so I just thought it was so important because it's very authentic. It's not that different. She cares so much about everything. And sometimes things don't go well. Things you care about don't go well. And so it was really awesome. I love emo Luz. I would do. Yeah, I love fight scenes. I love drama. So I would do like 7 seasons of her being like tortured, which wouldn't be entertaining. I dig it. Yeah.
Cissy doesn't get a question because she wasn't in 301. I'm just kidding. So Lilith has had a big arc over the show from being kind of like the cold, calculating head of the Emperor's Coven to a bad girl historian. So what was it like for you kind of seeing her arc over the course of the show and then bringing that out in your performance?
Well, I had to work really, really hard to get my finger guns just right. It's really hard to be an actor, you guys. No, it's been so rewarding. I remember when I first booked Lilith and I met Dana at like the launch party or whatever, she came up to me and she was like, I hope you're ready for drama. And I was like, woo, okay. But she was like, no, seriously, you're gonna have some emotional baggage. Get ready. And she did not lie. There were no lies. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, you know, it's always interesting to explore somebody who goes through some things. And when you go through some things with your sister, that can complicate things that much more. But at the end of the day, family is what matters. And so being able to have that come back in such a big way. Girls, I'm talking to you. My daughters are here. I'm talking to you. Is so important, and it's just been such a joy. She's such a joy. She's such a nerd. I love her. Anyway, I love her.
Right. Well, thank you all. I think we can now open it up for audience Q&A. I know. Really quick though, I do want to give a shout out to our production team, Kenzie Holmquist, our production coordinator. And our producer, Ryan Borland. They're the ones who kind of spearheaded putting all of this together, so please give them a huge round of applause for putting this together, as well as just putting the show together. Okay, so we have some pre-screened online questions, but we'll also be doing audience Q&A, so if you have a question, just like raise your hand, and I will maybe pick you depending on how many people have questions. There were some very popular online questions that I'll get to first that I specifically asked Dana for. So I wanted to get those just in case it was your question. That way you don't ask it twice. A popular one was, how old is V? So V was never given a specific age outside of around the same age as Luce, so let's say about 15-ish. All the kids except Hunter would be entering sophomore year of high school, and Hunter would be a junior. Oh. Ooh, high school. And then one of the other questions was, how long was the time skip? And she said the time skip was a few months. It doesn't matter how many months exactly. One more or one less wouldn't have changed how any of the kids acted in 301. So there you go. And then also, does Luce have her palaspin?
Where's the egg?
The egg is in her fanny pack, part of her costume. So
It's
there
safe.
you go.
It's in the fanny.
Okay.
We're good.
So we got those out of the way. All right, so if you have a question, raise your hand, and I will try to see in this crowd of people. Okay, red long sleeve shirt with black, yes, you, hi. A writing question.
To make a show, and of course anyone is involved in it, but to make a show that comes full circle the way that the Owl House does, I just want to know what kind of gets solidified first, if anything, the character motivations or just like the overall story arc?
I have been told to repeat the question so Twitch can understand what people are saying. So hold on. So the question is when you're writing a show like Owl House that comes full circle, what is solidified for that?
Almost, you know, I think the main thing that has to be solidified, the only thing that has to be solidified, and even this can change a little bit, is you need to know exactly who the characters are. And that's obviously one of Dana's great strengths. If you know, if you have believable characters, then you can be like, okay, what would they actually do in this situation? Because the situations always are going to change, and there's nothing. One of the big things that I think was both really hard about Owl House, but which helps make it what it is we threw out a ton of stuff. We we cycled through all sorts of ideas that didn't work, and that kind of helped us get to what was, what felt real, what felt right. So basically nothing. You go in with characters and you're like, you think you know what they want to do and where they need to go, and then everything else can change at any moment, basically. But yeah, so you just do it a lot, and then you get to what really feels real.
Good question.
Hands up for anyone who has a question. I'll go Chewbacca shirt here in the front.
You guys talked a lot about being given some creative freedom about just how far you can go of making things very weird and sometimes very disgusting. This could also be for the actors who read scripts, but was there anything in particular that it was come up, either be it written or design or something like that you just look at and go, there's no way this is going to make it, and somehow makes it on screen?
Okay, so for the Twitch chat, the question was, since we have like a lot of gross stuff in the show, is there anything that we've seen that we're like, there's no way that's going to make it in, and then it does?
Oh, I know something that got cut, so I don't know if I can say that.
Okay, well, if you don't,
No.
I think in terms of design, there's like a lot of really memorable things of like the magic circle shop. I was like, I wonder how many like things we can put into this, and like how many references. So you might see like Nessa's outfit, and it might have been hard to catch, but we actually also put some Pokemon Team Magma and Aqua costumes in the boxes. There was, I also did some post retake design for season 2, the end of season 2. And my husband really loves bunnies, and he would like come into my office and be like, "Are you gonna hide a bunny somewhere for me?" So if you look really carefully, you can actually find a little bunny head somewhere in one of the backgrounds. So that's super cute too. But yeah, in terms of like gross stuff for design, like character design as well, S&P does have a trip with this show. We really had to keep a lot of things in mind, and sometimes it's really silly, like this can't be this color, and I'm like, it would never exist in any world. Why does it not have to be that color? So yes, we sometimes get some really interesting things of being like, oh, we have to like not do it this way, but we make it even worse, and they love it. Like Flapjack's scene.
That's what I was about to say. I begged them. I was like, you can't do this. I begged Dana, and she was like, it's done.
Yeah, weirdly, I feel like early on we got way more S&P notes for design until I think we kind of like broke down their barriers a little bit. But early on, I mean, I did a lot of like book titles and stuff, like when we were kind of fleshing out what the world was like, and we kind of figured out the limits of what they would allow us to do. Like we couldn't do anything that had like religious connotations or anything anywhere. Like there was one book that I had in the background of one scene that was like a D&D kind of like manual, but it was called Advanced Sinning, which got cut, and then we were doing like guts and like scary stuff was always totally fine with them for whatever reason, but I kept trying to put Donald Duck in backgrounds. Weirdly, like they always caught it every single time, which sucked. Like I would be doing like a big pile of like junk or whatever, and I would just have like a little Donald Duck head. Just like I liked the implication that Donald at some point had gotten into the demon realm or was from the demon realm, but. So canonically, no, unfortunately, but yeah, it was always copyright stuff that they would get us on.
I do think on the Luce's wallpaper BG, didn't we try to get like Hades, like from the Disney movie Hades, as like the icon, and they were like, absolutely not. They were like, remove it right now. We're like, okay.
It's weird.
Did anyone else have any weird things cut or gross things?
Yeah.
I was surprised the ice cream scene made it in, to be frank. I was very surprised the ice cream scene, because Lilith was a little ice cream ham
Cat
drunk.
boarded that.
I didn't expect it. It was great.
All right.
I was gonna say that seems fun to board.
Oh yeah, you want to talk about
Yeah, that scene was really fun to board. I got to just basically be like, yeah, they're all eating ice cream. This is what happens when you eat too much ice cream. And I pushed it, and I was like, they're gonna like. I have her stumble when she like gets up out of the chair. I have her like sway like her head. All that stayed in. I was like, this is great. And then to this day, I still can't believe we got away with Hollow Mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Hands up. All right, hold on.
Great question. Thank you.
All right, person waving in the back, black shirt. Yes, you. Who wants to go first? All right, Nikki, go for it. Yeah.
I got that. So Hunter, when Hunter came along, and like Luce's by, I was like, is he a homewrecker? And nope, we're like siblings. But like when I first read the script, like I don't get the next episodes. I was like, Dana, who is this? Who does he think he is? This better not be my man.
Also for the Twitch chat, the question was any favorite fan theories.
Favorite fan theories. So yeah, I was with everyone on that because it was just, I was like, what is this? Like, who are you? So I'm very glad that was not correct.
I'll say I thought it was really funny how quickly everyone jumped onto the collector loose theory. Like all the art that came out of it, and everyone's like, it's gonna happen.
What
it's
is
gonna
it?
happen.
Wait.
The collector loose theory.
I have no idea what that is.
There was like this theory because
I try not to go deep on the internet. It can get scary.
So Dana did like a charity stream, and like one of the rewards was that she would draw a character that was gonna appear in the show, and so it was like the top half of the collector, but the hairstyle kind of looked like Luce's.
It does, yeah.
And so they're like, collector's gonna possess Luce, season finale, and like everyone hopped on this theory like immediately, and then like we're just like, the art was so good, but we were just sitting there just like. They'll find out eventually, but I did like that one. That was a fun one.
Yeah. I thought it was insane to me that everyone was like right about Lego Ida.
Wait, can you explain the theory? We're not privy over here.
It seems like everybody does know exactly what.
I said us over here, not them. They know.
Well, I'll tell you later. I mean, there are
Okay.
a lot of spoilers, so there's some stuff I obviously can't say about what
I'll find
Lego
out next
Ida, what she's going to do in the finale, what spin-off plans for Lego Ida are.
Great question.
Yeah, no, thank you for your question. Speaking of spin-offs, actually, I know we would all love spin-offs to happen. A common question that was on Twitter and Instagram is like, what would you like to see as a potential spin-off for the Owl House? This could be for anybody.
I want like the HGTV or like MTV cribs of like the Owl House. Just I want a tour of like all the rooms because every background I'm like, what? And what is that? What is that? What is that room even for? You know, like so I feel like I want a door to door sampling. That's what I want. That's just a one-off. Maybe it's a whole series. I don't know.
I want to see Lilith and all of her like historian adventures around like
you and Mom.
yeah. I just
Hear me out.
Yeah.
A How I Met Your Mother style flashback show of the teens and how they got to where they are.
that'd be good.
Yeah, I would love to see and make stories of Ida and Rain together in like a prequel. That would probably be the most hyped thing to see those cuties together and how they like fell in love and just the relationship between all the kids. Like, oh my gosh, that would just give me butterflies just to imagine that. That would be so cool.
I would want to go deep into the past and just explore the world more. I mean, who knows how big it is? Who knows how we saw the other side of the world once, but there's an entire world to explore out there. The Titan is just one dead thing that everybody lives on. There are obviously more, or maybe there aren't, but there's tons of stuff there. And then I think, so it would be like all unconnected character-wise, at least, on the surface, it would be these characters would be unconnected. Different characters in a different part of the world could be cool.
Hootie spinoff. That's what we should have. Hootie. A Hootie spinoff.
Oh my God, Hootie spinoff. Wow.
Oh, just a Hootie, like a Full House, but Hootie's.
Alex's voice would be dead by the end. Alex's vocal cords shot by the end. Let's go to another internet question. What was the hardest character to write or design for? And for our non-character artists, like, was there a particular asset that was difficult to work on? Or for our voice actors, a particular line, scene, or episode?
I never give Eden a hard time because she's always right. But I've said this before, the falling in what episode? You heard it when we're falling.
217.
Yes.
Edge of the World.
Edge of the World.
Yeah.
She was like, "You're still falling." I was like, "Eden, that was like a 30-second scream. You're wrong. Like, no one. They're not gonna pause the show for 30 seconds just have me be like, ah! Like still falling." And so I kept giving her too short. She's like, "No, longer." And I was like, "Longer than that? No, this is like, no, it's never gonna happen." And then I saw it and I was like, "Oh, it's pretty far." Like, she was right. Like, I just couldn't understand. Like, I couldn't fathom.
Because it made no sense. You were falling forever.
Yeah. She was like, more. I was like, where? So that was the hardest thing.
I always found Bellos really hard to write for a few reasons, because one, he's from basically many different places. He's from the human realm, but a very long time ago. He's from all these. Has lived lots of lives in the demon realm. So you don't have like a set. There's not like a set, kind of not slang, but you don't exactly know. Like, should he talk like a guy who's like a colonial guy or what? And then it's also so much of his plan, like all his plans and his motivations are secret for the longest time. So that was hard to try to figure out how much can we reveal about what he wants to do and why he's doing it. And so Bellos was hard.
Something that we changed for season 3 that y'all might have noticed is the way that characters with glasses, their profile looks like. So originally, they had their glasses still circular on the side profile, and I was like, "Hey Dana, can we change that? I really want to have them work like glasses, and you would see." So, and I think a challenging part was to do that, but also not block the eyes, because the eyes tell so much acting and story. So that was a really big challenge for kind of getting everyone with glasses. Another design tweak to kind of push them and make sure I wasn't blocking the eyes with any of that.
It's a glasses-heavy show.
It is a very glasses-heavy show, absolutely.
This maybe seems really silly, but when we're boarding, one of the hardest things to do is King is so much shorter than everybody. So I came up with the shortcut of he's on someone's shoulder. He just climbs things, but it's so crazy because you want to do a nice mid shot of everybody. You don't want to show their feet walking all the time, but then you don't see King. So that was our little baby boy. Yeah, so that was one of the biggest troubles. Boarding was how do we get King in the shot?
It's called the Pikachu solution.
Yeah, it's the Pikachu solution.
Good questions. Yeah.
We'll go back to an audience question. Staff, Albert staff in the back.
Small flex.
I suppose this is pertinent, but have any of you guys ever actually given it thoughts about what your palisman would be?
Ooh, the question for the Twitch chat is, what would our palismans be?
Penguin.
All right, yeah. I feel like I'd get a deer or an elk, something that has antlers on the end, so I could stab people if I needed to. Just I can do magic. It also it could be a weapon.
I would probably do, I don't know if I've ever seen one, a mole.
Ooh, they're very ugly.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay. I was like, if you haven't seen them, you should Google it before you decide on them.
Well, I mean, like, I haven't seen one as a palisman yet.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay. I was like, they're not cute. Don't
No,
know that.
I definitely wasn't gonna say my persona is a mole, so I'll put that in my back pocket. They're super cute sometimes, but yeah, a mole would be kind of fun.
Does anyone have a moth? Any of the characters? I think I might do moth.
Moth is good. Mine would be a giant ground sloth, and it would be like bat queen sized, and I'd have to drag it around.
Andy, no.
Yeah, they're
They're
cute.
upsetting.
Oh my god, like more like Paper Mario moles, like those are so
Cartoon
cute.
mole. Yeah, okay,
They
but
have
a real
such
mole
big
is not
hands
hard.
and they can't see like me. I can barely see. Like my glasses are mandatory for me to look, so I'm like, it's a mole.
Mine would be a honey badger because it could get things done. It could be mean when I'm like, no, don't hurt anybody. And then the honey badger would be like, yeah, whatever.
Oh, man.
Anybody else
Anyone
with
have
talisman?
ideas? I don't know. I have like 11 ideas. I've thought about this a lot. A dragon, a puppy, an octopus. I think that's all of them.
I'd have.
I want to steal yours. Yours are so good. An octopus.
Have the octopus.
Brilliant.
As I sit in third, he deserves better. Okay. Anyone?
Yeah, I think I would be like a puffball cat, like one of those cats that's like very the opposite of Ghost. Like Ghost is very like all sleek, but I think I'd be one of those that's just like eyes. Like it's just like fuzz and eyes.
It'd be so cute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Playing musical microphones. It's
Great
all good.
question.
Yeah, great question. Thank you. We'll throw it back to an internet question. Let's see. Oh, I think this is a funny one. Anyone can chime in on this. What do you think like Hunter's first day at Hexside would be if he attended?
He would just turf out. That's all there is to say about it.
I was gonna say I definitely feel like he'd be eaten by a locker at some
I was
point
just
during
gonna
the
say,
day.
I was like, moment one, eaten by the locker. I was gonna say shoved, and I was like, no, the locker would eat him. So
Like I
yeah.
feel he'd just shove everything in there, and there'd be like food in there, and then when he goes to get it, it just gets chomped in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Detention.
Anyone else for Hunter's first day of school?
He'd get lost.
Should we text Zeno? I'll be like, what do you think? What would happen?
Flapjack would help him.
Wow.
Too soon.
Too soon.
That's cute. That's a good question.
We'll throw it back to the audience. Okay, like 5 hands just shot up all at once. Plaid shirt and glasses.
So in the first episode of season 3, we actually get to see more about Camila Lucetta, the mother. And there was a really amazing scene you guys did on how you explained Camila's backstory so thoroughly that she became like a fully three-dimensional character, just boom, right there. And I wanted to know, what are the inspirations for Camila as a mother and character? Like, how did you get to that point where to this story?
All right, so the question is, since Camila was fleshed out a lot more in Thanks to Them, specifically through her dream sequence, how did we approach that to giving her such depth? I feel that's a you question, J-Bo.
I think on a practical level, we were always looking. We knew that she was a good mom, and we knew that she really wanted what was best for Luce, and not even in a kind of super wrong-headed way or something. But all we really knew about her in the show was that she had sent Luce to this camp. So it was hard to reconcile those, and I think. And it just took a lot of thought, like, okay, wait, why would she, like, what was she actually doing then? How did how did that happen? So it was very important to answer, how did it happen that she sent Luce to this thing? And then I think that everyone had their own, experiences with their moms worked into whatever came out of it. And in the end, and I think we were also realizing that, we're at kind of the point in our lives where, you really do realize like that your parents are just another person who don't feel any older than you do, basically. So when we looked at her from that way, when we were just like, yeah, she's just, she's not Luce's mom. She's an actual person who would act like a person, not just, a cartoon mom or something. I think that kind of helped us break through on her.
And a little bit on the background and the design aspect, there was a couple of things that I was talking with Dana and that we mutually really wanted to hit, which was that she is a hyper supportive mother to Luce, and when Luce came out, she really wanted to learn about the queer and trans community. And so a lot of shots in the background in her bedroom, you can see life binary, parenting LGBTQ kids and other things to really show that like not only does she support you one way, but she's also learning more about the community and trying to be an advocate for her own daughter and all of her friends and her adopted children at this point. And also, give it up, and something else we really wanted to hit on was what she was going through after Manny passed. So if you look at her house, there's a lot of like incomplete things. Like the basement has like a paint swatch on the wall of like maybe we'll paint it this color or this color. A lot of things are still in boxes, like maybe she was trying to move out of the boxes eventually, but since he passed, it kind of like a standstill in time to be like she couldn't keep going with some of these things. Like the hallway with all the pictures, there's at the very end of the hallway you can see boxes still and like a half painted hall. So it's very much a standstill in time of seeing what happened to her once Manny passed. So we really wanted to try to give that depth to the character in the background since we didn't have too much time to tell that story. So yeah, some little fun Camilla moments. Thank you for the question.
Great question, yeah, thank you. We'll do another audience question. So, all right, green hat. Oh.
Hello, sister.
Quick coven.
Oh, a coven would we be? Ooh.
I was literally thinking about this on the way just in case we had this question. At first I was like, Oracle or like construction, but then I was like, I'm a little wild personally, so maybe I'd just be a wild witch.
Ooh, all right. I feel everyone would just say wild witch because you're like, I want all the magic.
Yeah.
If I had to pick, I'd probably pick like abomination or beastkeeping. I feel those are probably the top two.
Yeah, that's awesome. Abomination, you just like, I want to get to the bottom of what is this thing that I'm making? I want to find out, like, try to talk to it. Yeah. Is it bad that I'm having it be blown up every other second? Like, I hope not, but maybe I'll find out if I
What if
study
it was
long
just
enough.
like Titan snot? It was just Titan boogers. That's what abomination is.
That's my new
Yeah.
I like illusions. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I think Oracle potions, like dual track. Weirdly, those are just the ones that speak to me.
I think I'd probably go for one of the smaller covens that we see in like convention, like the tiny cat coven. I think that's a great coven. I would love to be in that.
All right, I have to pick one. Can't do
Yeah,
wild
you have to
magic.
pick something.
Can't be the bad girl coven. Can't be the ponytail coven.
We're all
Bad girl coven, you said
but we're all bad girl coven.
I think plant and like beastkeeping, one of those. Maybe plant. I'm really feeling plant today.
Love it.
Yes.
The Emperor's Coven. I kid. Probably beastkeeping so I could make sure all 8-legged friends stayed far, far, far away. Thank you.
Bard Coven of
Great question.
Throw it back to an online question. Ooh. Which of the human outfits were your favorite? I mean, Shawn, I know you colored some of them, so you can pick which was your favorite to color.
I mean, I hate to keep going back to this, but the Cosmic Frontier outfits were so fun. Like, even though we knew, like, pretty much that that Hunter was going to have the yellow uniform and Gus was going to have the red to coincide with Deep Space Nine and Avery, and I also did a different, like I tried every main Star Trek color. I did a yellow, I did a blue, I did a red, just because I was like, yeah, this rules. I get to like explore it. It's fun. It was, yeah, great stuff.
I do want to say in design reviews, we do get a lot of color options, and I think it was for one of Gus's fall outfits. I think it's the one with the dinosaur. Dana didn't know which one to pick, so she like flipped a USB drive like in the middle of the design review to pick. I'm like, Dana, that's not even like a coin. How do you flip it? So that's how we ended up getting the dinosaur shirt that we have in the show now, is that one, the USB flip.
Oh, yeah.
Hunter's wolf shirt is a vibe.
We tortured one of our character designers, Matthew. He is wonderful. Round of applause for Matthew. And also shout out to Lena. Thank you, Lena, for character design. So we definitely went back and forth a lot with the costumes that we see at the second part of 301, and we were like, we had a couple of variations, and we were like, okay, so that was cool, love that, but let's get more, and then we kept on more, and then eventually Matt was like, I need to rest my wrist, it is breaking, please stop. And then eventually we landed on the ones, but those were, I think, my favorite, just seeing everyone in their costume, and also Amity's fits are so good.
Okay, that's exactly, I've been dying. Eden was in the room when I saw them and I screamed. I was like, she looks so hot. Amity is like killing it and her roots growing out and she's just stunning.
That lavender hair is perfect.
Just the couple costume too,
Yes.
I was screaming. It's the Halloween costumes for me, yeah.
Yes. Great question, yeah. Anyone else? Yeah.
Anyone else? Costumes?
Good.
Fashion? Good?
Love it.
All right. We'll throw it back to the audience.
Audience!
Flapjack.
Dying question. Do you guys think Flapjack had the chance to try flapjacks while
Objectively.
I mean, I feel like he probably would have tried it at some point, right?
Well, I mean, given what they presented to Camila all together as a group, Flapjack probably tried something that was told to Flapjack that it was Flapjacks. Was it good Flapjacks? I don't know.
Who knows? Debatable.
I don't know if Palanquins really have that much of a flavor palette, to be honest.
That's a Dana question.
Yeah.
So, like, can Palisman taste stuff? Thank you for your question. We'll throw it back to the
Lovely
audience. I'm seeing sun shirt in the middle. Yes, you.
Okay, I had a question with the main kids, or I guess anybody really. If any of you guys had opinions as to what their zodiac signs would be.
Oh, God, hold on. Dana prepped me for this. Hold on. Hold, please. Also, the question is, what would their zodiacs be? Hold on.
I will say, relating to Willow a lot, and me personally as a Virgo, I kind of feel like Willow would be a Virgo. Not canon, just saying my opinion.
Hold on, I have to find it.
We talk a lot.
Yeah, just have a casual chat, guys. Okay, I found it. Okay. So for the astrology question, and that's literally what Dana started this response out with, just tell them that the astrological calendar that we know in the human realm does not exist on the Boiling Isles. They don't even have the same number of months. It's a much more confusing system. Therefore, we cannot answer that question. There's more. They have 13 months out of the year, 666 days in the year, and all the animals are associated with those months and or days are different kinds of worms or tube-shaped creatures. So there you go.
The worm zodiac.
Let's see. We'll throw it back to an online question. Ooh, what anime would the Hexside and V be interested in? What anime would the Hexside Squad and V be interested in? I feel it'd just be whatever's popular.
My Hero Academia, probably?
Yeah.
I love that anime. Probably Naruto. I love Yu Yu Hakusho, and I take a lot of inspiration for fashion from Yu Yu Hakusho. Obviously, if you don't know that show, take it for the time that it was created. Some things didn't age very well, so keep that in mind. So yeah, I would say probably My Hero Academia. I would say.
I agree.
Yeah.
Gus would like one of the shows that's like about someone who gets incredibly addicted to gambling or something. But they're really good at gambling. For some reason, if they really, really, really need to win, they can win. So it would just be something like that. It would just be like an amazing gambling or mahjong anime.
Okay, I think we'll probably have time for either one or two more questions from the audience. Lucy in the front. Ooh, so the question is, do we have a favorite creature or demon in the show?
The fairy from episode 1 that she just reminded me of, that's like, I will eat your flesh!
I voiced that character.
Well, then you'll probably do a better impersonation. Please go right ahead.
It was like, I want your teeth or something. I don't remember, but it was good. I want your skin. I want your skin? Oh no, it had all the teeth. Yeah, and it had all those big teeth. I want your skin.
I mean, the hoot boy himself,
Hootie.
Ow, ow! What a disgusting worm.
I like this little guy, little owl beast. What a cute little lad.
The Titans.
We don't see a lot of them, but I like the detention guards in Hexside.
Yeah, it's so upsetting. So upsetting.
Yes, so upsetting.
I really like Bat Queen. Isabella Rossellini, first of all, incredible voice, but also just the idea that she was the Titans' talisman at one point.
Not the Titans. She was just
she was a giant.
But obviously it's she's way too small to be the Titans' talisman, but she's some giant.
She was some giant's talisman and then lost her position or something like that, and then had to find this new one as the caretaker. I don't know, really cool concept.
And she's rich.
That's what's important. I think that's time for us. I know we could literally sit here all day and answer questions. But thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you to the panel. I want to thank everyone on the panel, Jabo, Kat, Andy, Sam, Shawn, Nikki, Cissy, and Eden. Thank you for all the work that you do on the show.
Thank you all of those who are watching in Twitch land.
Thank you to Twitch. Thank you for everyone on Twitch. Thank you for joining us. But yeah, thank you again for joining us. Enjoy the gallery, and also be sure to look out for the next 2 specials on Disney Channel in 2023. Thank you, guys.
And thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca.